Hello, Uplanders. When I look to buy a property on the secondary market, I very rarely look at the city floor price. I believe that there are other metrics that are much more important than the floor price and that give a better indication of the prices in that specific city. In this video, I'm going to elaborate on what I just said and explain some other metrics that I think give a better indication of prices in a city. The data and graphs that you see in this video were collected on September 3rd at noon Pacific time. For this video, we're going to be looking at data of properties on sale in the city of Santa Clara, and none of this information should be seen as financial advice, and you should all do your own research. Here we can see two different distributions of sale prices of properties in the city of Santa Clara. On the top, we have prices in UPIX, and on the bottom, we have prices in US dollars. For this video, I'm only going to be talking about the prices in UPIX. Firstly, we can see that the total number of properties on sale for UPIX is 3,199, and there are 502 properties that are on sale for US dollars. The minimum UPIX sale price is 36,990 UPIX, and this minimum is actually the floor price. It is the lowest price that someone is selling a property for UPIX in the city of Santa Clara. The problem that I have with the floor price is that we don't actually know how many properties are at that exact number. There could be only one property that is being sold for 36,990 UPIX, or there could be 100 properties being sold at that price. There are many reasons that people might want to buy the cheapest property in a city, if it's just to get a foothold in that city and they don't have a lot of UPIX, or there might be other reasons. But if you're looking to get a good deal, just looking at that one data point is not necessarily a good idea. If someone is looking to sell a property at all costs, all they have to do is take a look at the lowest price and list it for less than that. And when you have people consistently undercutting each other, then it's very difficult to look at what the actual health of that neighborhood or city or that region is. Chances are there are people that are looking for these good deals, and if someone is looking to get rid of a property at all costs and they're willing to sell at a very low price, it's going to be bought up very quickly. And it all depends on the exact time when someone pulls the data and is looking at the information to see how the floor price changes. The floor price is very volatile. There is always going to be a lot of movement close to the floor. To get a better indication of what's actually happening in the market, I like to look at these different quantiles. We talked about the minimum floor price, and if we look here at the 0.5% quantile, that essentially means that 0.5% of all the properties are listed at 40,000 UPIX or less. So half a percent of 3,200 properties is 16 properties. And if we look here at this bar graph, we can see here that between 20,000 and 40,000 UPIX, there are 15 properties on sale. Then after that, we can see the next bar, which is 40,000 to 60,000 UPIX. There are 315 properties on sale for those prices. So we can see here, based on these quantiles, how quickly these prices are rising. A second reason that I think that the floor price is not a good indicator is because we don't actually know what neighborhood that property is in, which is in the floor price. Different neighborhoods have different base values based on their mint prices, and there is a wide range of information there that we are unable to see from this graph that we see here, or just by looking at a single data point, which is the minimum price in that city. Here we can see a more detailed distribution based on neighborhood within Santa Clara. I have it ranked by most expensive neighborhood based on base value, that being Southwest, to the least expensive neighborhood, which is East Central. In my previous video, I explained in more detail about how to read this graph, and you can take a look at the link in the upper right-hand corner to review that video as well. Now here I've already zoomed in a lot more to see the floor prices, and we can see that the minimum price here in South 101 and in West Central are very close to each other. But the value that you have in a West Central property is a lot better than what you have in South 101. So if you're looking to buy a cheap property, you might want to invest a tiny bit more and actually get a West Central property. This is a much better value. In fact, the West Central neighborhood is actually a limited collection. So if you were able to pick up 3 of those, you could get a much bigger boost on those earnings. This is something that you don't see just by looking at the cheapest property in the city. This next graph here shows that exact same representation as we saw in the distribution, only broken down a little better in terms of neighborhood. We can see here the floor price at 0, the 0.5 percentile, 2.5, 5, and 10%. So we can actually see how the prices rise in each neighborhood. For example, if we look at this neighborhood here, which is North 101, we can see that the floor here is about 52,000 UPIX, and we can see here that 5% of all the properties are listed at 74,000 UPIX or less. Here, when we get to 10%, we see that rise to 84,000 UPIX. And if we bring this in, we can also see how all of this data rises up as we go up to 50, 70, and even more. We can see how the prices begin to jump. Zooming back in, if you're interested in just buying into a specific neighborhood and you're looking to get one of the cheaper properties that are there, then you might want to be looking for what's the best deal. We can see here, as I discussed before in the previous graph, that West Central and South 101 are the cheapest properties. You can see here exactly how those prices increase. They increase in a very steady manner. However, if we look here at this neighborhood, which has the most expensive floor price of Southwest, we can see here how this jumps quite quickly from the floor price to the 0.5 percentile. We can see a jump in already 17,000 UPIX. And we can see that these prices also begin to climb at a much steeper rate than some of these other neighborhoods. So let's take a deeper dive and see what's special about this neighborhood. This last graph that we're looking at here, we can see on the x-axis the mint price of the property in UPIX and the sales price in UPIX on the y-axis. Each different colored dot is a different neighborhood. So we can see here that the cheapest property is actually part of the South 101 neighborhood. I said that both South 101 and West Central have the cheapest properties in the neighborhood. And I don't know how well you can see this on the screen, but we can see here that the colored dots of those specific neighborhoods are a lot brighter. Now, we also saw that the cheapest property in the Southwest neighborhood was 60,000 UPIX, and that is sitting right over here, this data point. In this screen, there are very few properties from the Southwest neighborhood. I count exactly 5 over here in all of these points. Obviously, I have zoomed in here to properties that were mint prices of 22,000 UPIX and under, and we can see here that the cheapest property that is being sold for 60,000 UPIX was minted at almost 16,000 UPIX. So there are a lot of properties here that are a lot cheaper, but that might be because that their mint prices were a lot cheaper as well. And I also mentioned that there was a large jump of about 17,000 UPIX between the cheapest property in Southwest and the other ones. And we can see that represented right here, that we see that there are 4 properties around 75,000 UPIX, and the cheapest one here is priced at 60,000. Again, none of this is financial advice. It's very possible that someone might go and buy this property right now. It's also very possible that after seeing this video, someone might list another property around that same price. After taking a look at some of these graphs, I'm sure you guys have a lot more questions, a lot more things going through your mind. If you're just looking at the floor price of a neighborhood, you're only looking at one data point and you're unable to see the entire picture. By looking at the data in some other ways, you're able to learn a lot more. Whether that helps you or whether that just confuses you even more is a completely different story. That's why having a strategy is very important. There are lots of deals that you can find in all cities and all neighborhoods. You just have to know how to look for them. The question is, where is the best place for you to be investing your UPIX or your money? And how does that fit with your strategy moving forward? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this analysis. Please leave any comments below. And if you have any other questions, you can also find me on my Discord, which is linked in the description below.